Hello, everybody. My name is Jordan Wolfson. I am a painter and a teacher. I've been painting for over 45 years and teaching for over 25 years, reaching hundreds of students. And welcome. I'd like to welcome you to this video, establishing a reliable painting practice. Thank you for taking the time to watch. So over the years, I've been teaching a lot of foundational skills and other kinds of ways of working, helping give students choice so they can explore in different kinds of ways. And one of the things I realized that I care about and am actually very committed to is students eventually finding their own way to become their own personal, idiosyncratic, authentic painter, their own way of working. And I was mulling it over recently and thinking about what can I do to help serve this shift from the gathering stage of the painting journey, where you are taking lots of different kinds of classes, workshops, taking in lots of different influences, and all of that is absolutely essential. How to shift from the gathering stage to the integration stage of the painting journey, where you start to put together your own way of working. What of the influences is going to stay, and which are going to leave, and how to put together, I love this and I love that, and that speaks to me, and how to put that together in some way. And what would be most helpful for me to offer all of you who are looking to do that. So I put together this video, establishing a reliable painting practice, how to start structuring your life in such a way that you can actually start exploring on your own, your way, your own personal, authentic way of working. So I have a PowerPoint presentation, a slideshow of different decisions, very practical, down-to-earth decisions to make. And I'll talk through that in this video. And hopefully it will be of use and helpful for you on your way, in your shift. So, okay, I will now do a screen share. Let's see, I need to do, oops, there it is. Hello. Okay, so establishing a reliable painting practice. Here we go. No, go back. There we go. Establishing a reliable painting practice. The ongoing struggle, answering the call. So, maybe you've been painting for a few years now. You feel the desire to paint. It's more than a hobby. This isn't just recreation. It calls you. It tugs on you. Something that feels necessary. And it's a struggle because we've got a million other things going on in our lives all the time. That's our world. So how to work with all of that. So we're going to be going through a number of things in this presentation. Make the decision, blowing on embers. The importance of a regular practice, moving from student to artist. How to dedicate time and space to our painting practice. Momentum and the secret of drawing. Protecting studio time, the importance and gift of creativity. And last, the inner dimension. What's really going on here? So the first decision we need to make is whether we're going to do this or not. I'm going to see what might be possible. You need to decide that you want to do that. I remember it was after grad school. I had already received an MFA from Yale. I was well along the way, apparently as a painter, but I really didn't, I wasn't sure I really was a painter, you know. It seemed to me, I had some image in my head of what that looked like, and it wasn't me. But I knew that I didn't want to get to the end of all of this, this life, and not have checked out the possibility of what painting might be in my life. I didn't want to regret that. So I chose very clearly, I chose to check it out, to see what is this. Yeah. So that's the first decision. Then the second decision is, once you've decided that you want to check this out, you need to set things up. And the second decision has to do with place. Where are you going to work? Are you going to work inside your house? Are you going to work outside of your house? And so each has their pluses and minuses. So inside the house, things to consider. Who else lives there? Do you have privacy and stability, like a room with a door? Like, do you have a pet? And, are you working in the living room? And are they going to knock over a still life? Or is this a closed room and and you can close the door? And so how much space do you have? If it's you might be taking a spare bedroom in your home and converting it into a studio. That's great. So just thinking about that kind of space, and you could start with what you've got. You just want to have some space dedicated to your painting practice. Also think about the lighting. Are there windows? What kind of exposure? Is it morning light, afternoon light, northern light? Or do you want to set up, some standing lamps? What kind of bulbs, full spectrum? I mean, all those things, they're very practical decisions, but they're important. The lighting situation is part of it. So another plus for working at home is there's no extra financial cost and no commute. You're just there, and no time is being eaten up getting to the studio, that sort of thing. Downside, endless distractions, right? There's always more laundry to be done, or emptying the dishwasher, or whatever it might be, right? Upside, the work is always available to be seen. You're home, you finish dinner, whatever it is, and you wanted to see, what did you do earlier in the day? And there's your work. You could just go in and have your tea and take a look. So pluses and minuses for working at home. So here, away from the house, some pluses and minuses, less distractions. So it's more of a possibility when you go to the studio away from the house that you'll be more focused. The privacy is probably more reliable if you live with other folks. Downside is there's a financial overhead. So, that's a cost, and that might be difficult to take care of. Plus side of that cost is when we make financial investment, we tend to, it's like, well, I better use the studio. I'm paying for it. I'm going to get there and do some work. Downside, commute time. So you have to think about how far away is that, and how to set that up. You may have built-in community, which is great. In other words, if this is a place where there are lots of artist studios, you may end up meeting other people and have a sense of shared community. Could be some helpful networking, that sort of thing. Downside, you can't just pop in and see the work. Like when you're home, can't go into the studio so easily, right? So pluses and minuses. So things to think about as you go and figure out your place, but you need to make a decision, to set up a dedicated space for your practice. The third decision has to do with time. So setting your calendar, the amount of time, which day or days of the week, is it day or night, and possibly an accountability buddy. So setting your calendar. So you need to know that this is your work. You think of it as work, and treat it accordingly. Like that's we know how to, you know, in our culture, work has a pretty great value. Everyone has to show up at work. And if we frame our painting practice in that way, it helps us get to it. So my suggestion would be that you set your sessions once a month. If you could set up a regular weekly schedule. So once a month, you're looking at, you know, you set up how the weeks are going to run. And if you could set up your painting times, then you know, that's very helpful to schedule it. Also, then in the beginning of each week, say, you know, Sunday evening, just checking in with the week, with yourself, with your time, and making sure, okay, these are the times this coming week when I'll be in the studio. And then in the morning, like recheck and set your intention. Right, I'm going to be at the studio today, and this is what I'm going to go do. The amount of time. So this depends on what you've got. You know, the other things that are in your life. A good working session is a 3-hour block of time. That would be great. How many times a week? Well, start with once. If you can swing it twice, that's a great way to start. Twice a week, you can really start to build on that. And even 15 minutes, if you know, if you can, if things are tight, maybe you're working at home and you just, you know, do some work for 15 minutes just to keep the energy moving. It makes a difference. Another decision, day or days of the week, time of day or night. So, you know, what days, you take a look and see what else you've got going on. If you've got other commitments for financial work or for studies or for family or friends, this sort of thing. If you could spread the sessions throughout the week, let's say you've got, you know, 2 blocks of time that you can handle during the week, you know, maybe spread it out like a Monday and a Thursday so that you can experience that sense of rhythm of your work life, of your painting life through the week. And then also, are you a night owl or a morning rooster? You know, when do you work best? When are you most creative? And people are different. So an accountability buddy, it could be hugely helpful. You know, for all kinds of things, getting in exercise, or, you know, all kinds of things that you want to do in a regular way. You got a you know, bit of some friction or an obstacle. Team up with someone who's interested in doing something like that as well. Recently, a friend of mine, he has a book coming out, and he got in touch with me about setting something up together. He needed to do marketing for his book, and he doesn't particularly like marketing. So I would check in with him and see, well, what kind of, you know, marketing tasks did you get to today? And my deal was drawing every day. So did you draw today? You know, and even if it was just 10 minutes, just, oh, okay, you know, but it made a difference knowing I was going to have to say yes or no. So that's a great, easy way to just, you know, a little more incentive. And if you don't know anybody that is a good fit for you for this sort of thing, contact me and I can help put you in touch with each other. Long distance works fine. You just text each other and, you know, checking in. So the fourth decision that I would suggest has to do with materials. It could be things that you work with that you really like. Have a lot of it around. Make that investment so that you just feel like, I've got a lot of these materials that I like to work with. And there may be also, you know, you go into an art supply store, you're looking or you're browsing online, and there's some things that are interesting for you. I'd like to try that. And, you know, have a few extra things around that are like, what is that? You know, that you can play with. And it really makes a difference having a stock of supplies that you don't have to go to the store. There's no holdup, so that when you can want to work, you've got what you need to just keep working. That's very helpful. Community. So when I was in grad school, I had a conversation with one of my teachers, Andrew Forge. There was we all knew that the attrition rate after grad school was high. That is, a lot of grad students after grad school end up stopping, and I didn't want to stop painting. So I asked Andrew Forge, what can I do to help me continue my painting afterwards? And one of the things he said was community, going into other artists' studios, having them come into yours, sharing, just keeping the dialogue going is really hugely helpful to just to sustain the continuity of our work. So it could be drawing groups, could be crit groups, could be reading groups, and this could be also online. I was really surprised these last couple of years as everything shifted online, how available was an actual sense of community. Even though, we were talking through this online interface, Zoom or what have you, where we would have a community page and people would post and comment, and there really has been this growing sense of community that I've really appreciated, and it's helpful. So I don't have easy access in my particular situation to physically interact in other people's studios. I mean, to some extent, but not easily. But the online piece has been great. So that's for real. And in relation to that is Instagram. It's a wonderful way just to see what else is going on out there. What are other people doing? There's a woman on the other side of the planet who's doing these beautiful charcoal drawings, and I've just noticed her work over the last couple of years, and we would message each other a little bit, and it's friendly, and I feel like we're part of the same community. So I find Instagram actually very helpful as a visual artist. I suggest it. And also writing and reading and sharing that. So over the years, one of the things that has been particularly helpful for me has been reading things that pertain to painting that are well done. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that I'm not interested in, but there's when I find a good book on painting, and there's been a lot that I've read over the years that really has fed my painting practice. I've put together on my website a reading list, and I need to update it. There's a lot more now to put on. And if you're interested, contact me, and I can make some suggestions also in light of what you might be interested in. But reading things that pertain are great. Talking about it with other people that are painters, you could put together just a little reading group. And so that's been a great way to go. And then that accountability buddy can also be a nice sense of community too. So momentum, keeping that sense of momentum going over time. And one thing that I found that was extremely helpful was drawing. When I was in grad school, all of my teachers would talk about drawing all the time. You need to draw more. And it was like, what do you mean I need to draw more? I need to paint. Like, painting was the real deal. And, we had critiques and we had to show product. We were accomplishing something. And afterwards, after I was on my own, I started to draw more, actually. And And I found that it really led my painting practice. I was able to explore, as in paint, what I had been doing in the drawing. So the drawing kind of led me. And in terms of momentum, drawing is pretty key because it's easy to get to. It's a piece of paper, a pencil, a stick of charcoal. But the marking and the making gives us a way of exploring, and it's also cheap. It's like, it's just another piece of paper. And it doesn't take a lot of setup and cleanup. Like, you know what? I got 15 minutes. I'm just going to draw for a little bit. But the energy of doing that makes a huge difference. Instead of like, I don't have my 3 hours that I need in order to really paint. Okay, but I've got 15 minutes where I can just pull out my sketch pad and do some drawing. It makes a giant difference. So building that habit of marking is key. Also, it's important over time to look back and see what have you done, and sort of bearing witness to your own development and path. I seem to be interested in these things, or I was doing that a couple of years ago, and now it's kind of reappearing in a different way. And so that's key, looking back over things. And then there's the momentum of the project that I find very helpful for myself. Having a sense of a project that I am engaged in over time in the studio. So I'll talk a little bit more now here. The project. What is a project? So in no particular order, could be a particular motif. I'm going to be working on still life for a while, or landscape, or the figure, or this particular still life, or non-representational, whatever it might be. It'll be a self-portrait. I'm going to do a series of self-portraits. My materials, I'm going to work in a limited palette. I'm going to work in cold wax. I'm just going to explore drawing for a while. So I'm going to set up my motif. I'm going to set up what are my materials, ways of working. I'm going to do a bunch of drawings, and then I'm going to work from the drawings and make a painting, whatever it might be. You're setting up your project. I'm going to do a sequence of different kinds of ways of doing this motif, something like that. What are the questions I'm going to be asking? And these questions can be formal questions. I want to explore composition. I want to explore mark making. Or these questions could be more topical. I'm concerned about political things, or identity questions, or I'm concerned with the environment. Could be that sort of thing, or could be things, more internal, emotional explorations, or spiritual explorations. So there's all kinds of questions that we can raise, and you may want to just take some time and write down some things. What do I care about? What do I want to explore? So all kinds of possibilities, but it helps to sort of frame where you're going to explore for a while. And looking back on what you've been doing, you may think, I'm sort of interested in this sort of thing. What can I do to take that and sort of extend it into a project? So I found that kind of keeps the whole thing on a low boil, having a sense of a project. And essentially, you're becoming your own teacher. So just like, over the years, we've taken workshops and courses where the teacher has presented projects in some way, in some form or another. And here we become our own teacher. So the sixth decision is how to protect our studio time. Here, being real, studio time may limit availability for other things. I remember when I was an undergrad, I had a teacher, Hardy Hansen. This was at the University of California at Santa Cruz. And I remember Hardy said, everything in our life is going to conspire to keep us from doing our work in the studio, even the good things. And it's true. I mean, there are things in my life that are dear to me, people I love and I want to spend time with. And I live in a beautiful place and I love hiking out in nature and the mountains. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are important that take time. And of course, there are other things that I care about less, but I have to get to, like, doing the bills or whatever it might be. Email. So how to negotiate all that, how to navigate that becomes very important, particularly in our world where everyone is so busy. And how to understand how our painting practice fits in with the whole constellation of things that we care about in our lives. One thing that may be helpful is to understand that our painting practice and the gift of creativity, yes, it is fulfilling for us, but it is also a gift for the world. I don't mean we're necessarily going to be famous, perhaps, but the creative engagement, the deep exploration of our making and creativity ends up moving energetically back out into the world. It allows us to be happier, more fulfilled. We also can bring all of that into the world in a way, so that this is not just like often we tend to think of our painting perhaps as a selfish or self-indulgent kind of activity. And it's critical to understand that it's not. We are living fully by painting. And it's necessary that human beings live fully and are engaged deeply and creatively. And that becomes a kind of example for other people as well, to live like that, the other people in our lives and our friends, our family. And then there's also the sharing, I mean, it's for real. So understand that it's not a separate thing, and that can help. It's like, well, I need to get into the studio because that's part of the deal. And connected to that is the common difficulty in our world of justifying the investment of time and resources. We culturally, we tend to find justification for things that are that pay for themselves financially, but what if I'm not making any money out of this? It's a hard, but I'm putting a lot of time and resource into it. And again, we need to understand, remind ourselves, it's what we know, but we need to remind ourselves that life is to be lived as fully as we can. And if we feel this urge to paint, and we find that we have access to a fuller life through our painting practice, that's real. And we need to honor that. So here we are. This is the last slide that I want to talk about here with you. The inner dimension reality, painting as being here now, and the power of presence. So we've been talking very practically, like very practical, down-to-earth decisions, getting our studio space, making sure we have the time so we get into the studio, protecting that, this sort of thing, right? What that allows us to do when we have dedicated space and time to our painting practice is it gives us the opportunity when we paint to slow down and simply be here. And we get to be here through our painting practice, the marking, the looking. It grounds us into the moment. And so that our painting practice becomes a vehicle for being present, being open, expansive, and grounded, and alive. So it's really more than just making an image. It is, we're making things and we're making images, these handmade, flat, two-dimensional objects. But there's something about that activity that has an inner dimension, an inner life that has great power. And when we're able to be present while we work, somehow our life force gets into the material. And if we can sustain that, then this object somehow embodies that life force and carries it, so that when someone else comes along and they are receptive to it, they will sense it and like, oh, so that it can serve as like a catalyst, like a wake up. So that's pretty great. So that's, I mean, there's more to be said, but I'll leave it there. So I'm gonna stop the screen share here. Where are we? Here. Stop share. Okay, here I am. Hello. Yeah, so that was what I wanted to share with you. Going through a series of those decisions, first making that decision, you know, I want to really check this out, and I want to figure out what's my way of working. And once we make that decision, okay, so I need to dedicate a place, and I need to dedicate the time and get the materials and start building momentum and exploring. So I thank you all for watching, for hanging in and watching this. I hope it's been useful for you. If you have thoughts or questions or feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. And when this is over at the end, there'll be a website on the ending words. And I look forward to the next thing. So be well, happy painting, keep painting. It's important. And I'll see you all later on. Take care. Bye-bye.